Hello, my name is Joanna Colosimo, and I'm the Director of Compliance and Workforce Analytics here at DCI. We are excited to host you today for the demo of DCI Dashboards. We're really thankful. Over the years, many of you have provided us with feedback on our affirmative action plan trending. You've worked with your consultants over the years to help prioritize affirmative action plan results. We know that the individual establishment or functional AAP is important to speak to for compliance reasons, but oftentimes our clients have been in a space to gain insights across the company in terms of those affirmative action plan results. So throughout the past few years, we've worked with many of you to do this at an ad hoc basis. We've gathered feedback, and our consultants have partnered with our software development team to really provide our DCI clients this exceptional and exciting service to really look at those AAP results in a very strategic and meaningful way. So we've heard your feedback, we've adapted, and we're really excited to unveil this new tool with you. For today's demo, you'll be primarily led by two of the thought leaders behind this product. Amanda Bowman, who's an associate principal consultant on the CWA division, and Fred Satterwhite, who's the director of our software development division. He helped really build this product. And Amanda is one of our partners that helped liaison and work with our incredible software team to develop this product for our clients. So she has some great insights on the types of really cool takeaways that this dashboard service provides. So there's a lot of great content, a lot of information. You might have questions throughout this process. If you do, you can absolutely submit questions in the chat feature. We'll get to them after the session. We'll make sure they're answered. There was also a link in the original meeting invite for questions. You can submit those as well via a form, and your DCI team will get back to you to help answer those questions. But without further ado, I'm really excited. I'm going to turn it over to Amanda to lead us through the first portion of the demo today. Amanda?
Awesome. Thank you so much, Joanna. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen so you all can follow along with the dashboard. And I know Joanna said we're excited. I just want to echo that we are really excited about this. I know lots of times consultants say they're excited about something, or companies say they're excited about something, but we all truly are so excited about this new deliverable and so excited to share it with you all. So can't wait to hear what you all think about it. As I walk us through this, Fred, please stop me at any point if there's anything that you want to just obviously add to the conversation, since you and your team are really the brains behind this. All right. Joanna, Fred, give me a shout if you cannot see my screen, but you should be able to. So without further ado, this is kind of the main page for our DCI dashboards. Now, this will be for your annual affirmative action plan project specifically. So everything that you receive through your individual location plan reports, as well as the global executive summary kind of workbook that you all receive on an annual basis. All of those results are really what's going into this dashboard, but I'll point out some really cool visuals, obviously, that are in this, but also some things that kind of go beyond the results you've already been receiving, meaning providing some contrast to prior year results, as well as providing some trending and other cool information. So all of this should feel pretty familiar to you from your affirmative action plans, and we've just added some really cool features to it. So, and this is obviously not a training, so we don't expect you all to walk away from this as experts, and I'm not going to necessarily get into the level of detail I would if this were a call about your specific plans, right? Obviously, we're looking at some demo or sample data here. So just keeping that in mind, I might move quickly past some features too, but really we just want to give you a sense of everything. So to just quickly orient you to this main page here, you can see I'm already logged in as a user. Just for background, my access right now is to view all locations. I'm an administrative user that has access to all locations. But I do have this really cool feature that if I wanted to pick a specific affirmative action plan and view just those results, I could, or I could stay on the all, which will aggregate kind of across these affirmative action plans. So for right now, I'll stay on that all feature, but I can show you a couple of places. We'll flip over to a specific location and see how things change there. Also, as a part of where I am with this sample data, I have multiple years that I've already loaded in here because I've been, in theory, using this dashboard for a few years now. And so this gives you the easy option to flip back to prior year results to take a look at those as well with the exact same dashboard. So just some really cool ability just to toggle between different locations and also different years as well. And I'll walk us a little bit, not through every single piece of these pages, but just want to give you a sense. We're going to walk quickly through the main page, which will give you a nice sense of the type of information that you'll find within each of these pages. But then we'll quickly move to each of these individual pages just to give you a sense of those, but you can easily toggle between them, and they'll really follow the results that you're receiving in your affirmative action plan. So let's start off with the main page, just to kind of give you a sense of this. And this might seem like a minor feature, but this was something I was very excited about that I think you all will find some use about, which is throughout the dashboard, there are multiple options to print what you're viewing. And so one really cool thing on each of the pages, you'll have the option to completely just print out your view, and it comes nicely formatted and easily something that, if maybe you don't want to give access to your dashboard to a particular user, but you do want to kind of give this almost like a company-wide executive summary, kind of like your global executive summary, but a little more visually appealing, and easily print that out and pass that on. So I think that's just a really nice feature that we've incorporated throughout, thanks to our software team, and kind of gives you that detail. And then obviously, if I were to toggle to a specific location or a different year, same feature applies and allows you to easily print that out. So I won't point that out at every little section that we go to, but anytime you see that little symbol there, just know that you can easily print whatever it is that we're viewing. So quickly, let's walk us through. Overview here is just kind of giving you a sense to orient you, especially if you're looking across all of your locations, just giving you a sense of how many plans do I have this year, how many job groups kind of across all of my plans are active this year, how many employees. Again, just some descriptive information. But what's really nice is we've incorporated a little addition here that'll show you the change in comparison to your counts from the prior year. So here you can tell easily that your number of plans have gone down in comparison to prior year. For example, number of job groups overall have gone down, as well as your employee count. So just some additional quick information to give you a sense of what you look like this year in comparison to last year. And again, this is across all plans. And many of our sections have this overtime feature here that you can click on. And so this is assuming, right, that you're at the point where you have multiple plan years loaded into the system. You can quickly take a look at this and see across the years how your location counts have changed, how your job group counts have changed, and your employee counts. And everywhere you look on here, there is an ability to hover. So hopefully, as if you decide to use this as a service and you start using it, the goal of the software team and for all of us really was to make this as user-friendly as possible. And again, you can always make things bigger if you need to, right? And again, if you're not going to give access to everybody to have this, that's okay. Another way to really, or a way that we hope you use the dashboard is you can turn some of these visuals and into pieces of your presentation, right? So pretty easy to download or print or copy a lot of these images. So you could even take the pieces that you really need and move them over. So again, high level, this is kind of like the high level executive summary across all your plans, right? So breaking down that total employee count, giving you a sense of female, minorities, individuals with disabilities. Something kind of cool that we've incorporated that I personally love is we're going to reference the national average as well and give you links too. So if you wanted to click on that to see where that data source came from, you could easily see where we're pulling the most recent kind of job pattern information based upon EEO1 filings to give you that benchmark comparison. Certainly not making any statements about whether or not that's applicable to your type of industry or your location. Really just a benchmark. That's kind of nice to have that national average there. So again, those are all dynamic links. And again, the ability to look at that over time, which I think will be really useful. Same thing, goals, overall counts, giving you a sense of the number of job groups that have goal areas. And again, all of these you can see are giving you those comparisons to prior years. Obviously, these are green as opposed to red, even though they're going down, because we love the fact, right, that there are less goal areas this year than there was in the prior year. So we've even coded that to be green to kind of give you that positive movement there. And then here, obviously, locations that you have that have at least one goal area in it. And again, ability to trend over time and just see how that is changing across all of your plans. Goal attainment, breaking it down into those categories that you're all familiar with, from whether or not your prior year goal was attained, not attained, whether you had limited opportunities or no opportunity to achieve it, and giving you the counts as well as the percentage out of the total prior year goals, right? So you added those percentages up, those would total 100%. And again, showing you the changes in comparison to the prior year counts and allowing you to trend over time. Now, one thing, and this is available kind of throughout the dashboard, but one of my personal favorite features is if you're viewing a visual and it's not quite what you want, oftentimes there are ways to adapt it slightly, right, within reason. So if you said, okay, I really just want to get a sense of those areas where we actually had at least somewhat of an opportunity, you could click on the no opportunity, and that takes that out of the summary, and it allows you to focus in on just the trends for attained, not attained, and limited opportunities kind of over time. If you want to put that back in, just click on it and it pops right back in. And again, lots of hover opportunities too. So if you want to be able to easily see those counts, really easy to do. So again, super excited about these features that we have here. Next section, adverse impact. You'll see kind of throughout, I'll show you a little bit that adverse impact page. So if you took just a look at this high level summary, again, we're still looking at the all location view. You'll see that throughout the various adverse impact pages that we give you, one of the two main ways that we're kind of summarizing things for you is the number of flags that you have, meaning the number of the number of groups that are statistically significant, right? Job groups, job titles, requisitions, whatever those level of analyses are, and allowing you to see kind of those counts. But then we also will give you the view of the combined shortfalls based upon those statistically significant areas. So if you wanted a sense of kind of the number of people maybe that the statistical significance finding would be impacting, the shortfall would kind of give you that alternate view. So you'll see throughout all of those different explanatory widgets. You'll probably hear me say widgets a couple of times. It's our name for each of these pieces, right? All of these are widgets. So hopefully that's a useful term for you all as well. And you can see we've broken this down, got total counts across all plans and all groupings, and then break that down by applicants, promotions, all terms analysis, voluntary terms analysis, and involuntary terms analysis. Again, following the same information that we give you on an annual basis and that you utilize for your plans, but breaking it down and then also showing you the changes in comparison to prior years. And we've got a couple of different views here. That was just the job group view. Here's just the job title view. And then we also have that overtime view. Again, so we've got a couple of different widgets within this section, right, to show the trends over time. So we have two job group widgets here, one for the counts by flags, one for the combined shortfalls, and then the same thing for job title flags, job title shortfalls. Again, you can always make that bigger. And again, my favorite feature, if you want to hide some of that and just view, terms, all flags, and then promotions and applicants, maybe you don't want the total trend line there, to see that as well. Really dynamic and changes quickly depending upon what your needs are. Okay, last two sections as far as this kind of executive overview page, or the main page. We've got the veteran summary page. So here we focused in on your hiring rate. We'll put it for reference, that benchmark there that'll link to kind of the benchmark table reference, but we'll be utilizing the benchmark that's applicable to your plan. And then we'll show overall. So again, this is kind of overall across all your locations and all of your hiring, essentially, what your hiring rate for veterans was, and the comparison to whether that went up or down from the prior year, whether or not based upon that overall look, if you're exceeding, right, that benchmark, and then whether or not the determination of your outreach efforts are effective, so kind of a yes or a no. Similar for individuals with disabilities summary, you'll see utilization rate. That doesn't change from year to year, right? Because that's baked into the regulations. We've got that 7% though, and reference point for you to kind of find that data source. Taking a look at, we're looking at employees here, right, for disability utilization. So the percentage of your employees for workforce numbers, what percentage of them identified as disabled, the increase or decrease depending upon the count from the prior year, and whether or not that exceeds that 7%. So from a company-wide perspective, it does not, right? But we're deeming outreach efforts effective based upon, what we're seeing within like your applicant counts. And that would align with the reports that you're receiving as well through your affirmative action plan. And again, you can see there's a couple of other views. So if you didn't want to look at all employees or all hires, meaning even if someone didn't respond to the self-ID question, for example, they would be included in that total population. If you wanted to look at just those folks that indicated yes or no and actually gave a response, you could take a look at that kind of current responses, or you could take a look over time with a trend line showing you where that benchmark is as well. And then same thing for individuals with disabilities. Okay, let's get into some specifics. Just wanted to give you a flavor because I think that gives you a good sense of what's on each of these pages, but the widgets get even more fun as we dive in a bit. So if I click on the diversity page, you'll see that there is an option to focus in on, really these are descriptives, right, of your employee population. So it lets you focus in for gender or focus in for race ethnicity. So I'll go ahead and click on gender, and the race ethnicity page will essentially follow suit for there. So the first bit here, this is really going to be the case for each of the pages. First bit here will kind of mirror what you've already seen on the main page. Same thing here with demographics, mirrors that as well. So we can get into some additional graphics here. Again, basic descriptives, letting you see count of females, males overall, and then taking a look at it over time. So again, pretty similar information to what we were looking on in that main page, but these next couple of widgets are pretty cool. So here we have the data view, and you'll see a chart, a widget that looks just like this, really on each of these pages that'll help you break down a bit more company-wide as well as for specific locations. And obviously, depending upon your view, you'll see different data points. Here, we're focused in on describing male and female counts. So here we can see each row is an affirmative action plan, with the first one being the total roll up across all locations. So you'll be able to see the employee count overall, and then the breakdown by females as well as males with that representation percent here. And if you wanted to dive in a little bit deeper, there's always somewhere to click. You can click the little green plus sign, dive down and see within all locations, different job groups take a look at, and then again, the same information broken out. And then easily do that if you want to do a location there. Easily see those job groups, see those breakouts. So depending upon what question you're trying to ask yourself or what you want to present potentially, it's got lots of different breakout options there. Following along that line, if we take a look over here, essentially, and we click on this symbol here, that'll give you a pop-out that again gives you another visual. This one's focused in on overtime, female and male counts. And again, you could always hover here if you needed to see more detailed information. So that trending and additional data is a great feature. And then each of these will have this year-on-year change that you can click and allow you to see, kind of like we were showing you before with the increases and decreases depending upon the prior year. This year-on-year change will allow you to view that as well. So you can easily see whether or not your total employee counts and then the female-male breakouts, whether or not those are increasing or decreasing in comparison to the prior year. So this is all focused obviously on the location tab, but if you want to take a look at just by job group, kind of across all locations, if you're in the all location view, here's another way to do that as well. And then obviously, if we were to focus in on a particular location, that view is going to be a little bit different, a little more narrow, and you can see how quickly that changes. And so if I were a user that only had access to AZ969, or just like now, if I only wanted to look at that location, I could click that button and it changes every single widget on here to be focused on just the counts and percentages as it relates to that particular location. So as you can see here, this is the only one that I would have access to. Right, let's go back and I'll show you a few other things on the other pages with those all locations. Again, just giving you a flavor of all of the widgets here, we've got a map view that is available on the remaining pages as well. And each of these will give you these circles for your different affirmative action plans. And depending upon the page you're on, obviously it will contain different information, and the size is always related to the type of information that it's summarizing. So here we're obviously focused on employee counts. So the bigger squares indicate, right, bigger employee populations. But you can also click on those circles and that'll open up another data view here. And it'll give you a visual piece, right? You can always hover on it as well, view those numbers, but they'll always come with this little chart underneath too. So you can get a sense of what those counts are, the percentages, right, out of the total population. And then the change and the change percent relates again to reflecting on your prior year, your current year information in comparison to the prior year counts. And then the last main type of widget that you'll see in most of the pages takes your results and categorizes it by EEO1 category. So oftentimes we're talking at kind of a more disaggregated level of employee job groups, but job groups are based upon EEO1 category. So this is just kind of a more aggregate look to try to give you some sense of job patterns for whatever type of descriptives or results that we're taking a look at. And especially with all of the report outs, right, by EEO1 categories that we see a lot of companies going public with, that might be an added bonus with this view as well. But again, these all provide the option to hover to give you a sense of information. Here, right, employee counts, and then the breakdown by male, female. If we were on the race ethnicity page, it'd be a breakout by race ethnicity category. But you can also click on these. And again, it's going to open up another data view, give you a visual, but also give you that breakdown of the data points that are going into that visual information. So lots of options in how to view this information. All right, let's take a look at the goal summary. For a goal summary, you'll see you've got 3 different pages you could pick if you wanted to look at goals in general, regardless if they are gender or race ethnicity. You could go with the overall page. If you wanted to focus in on specifically just female goals, or just race ethnicity grouping goals, you could pick one of those pages. So let's take a look at that overall page. So again, overview is going to be pretty similar to what we saw on the main page. Here we've got some additional information that I think is great, just showing you, as you know your total number of goals, but also giving you a sense of the prior year goals, what that count was. Again, we already saw the job groups with goal percent on the prior year page. Then it kind of uses that information to give you these new categories of, right, considering these goal areas, current year, prior year, current year, what count and percentage of those goal areas are new? What goals from the prior year did we eliminate? And then what goals are we seeing in the prior year as well as the current year, meaning at that location, job group, and subgroup level. And then obviously a summary of goals by subgroup. So as you can see here, we have female, male, total minority, as well as all the race ethnicity subgroups. So the dashboard will have the option for you to receive kind of more traditional underutilization of female and minority goal areas, but it also gives the option to have those areas of underutilization for all gender and race ethnicity, categories. Your consultant and contracts will work with you to determine what's appropriate. It should be in line with what you're doing for your affirmative action plans on an annual basis, but just wanted to show you that we do have that option. And certainly if you received this information, like I showed you before, if you wanted to get rid of like the total minority category or, the male underutilization, white underutilization for purposes of certain visuals, the dashboard is incredibly dynamic and allows you to do that. So lots of cool features there. And then here you also have the option to view the breakdown by count or percent. So right when we hover here, right now we're seeing the percent, but if we wanted to flip that to counts, we could easily do that as well. And again, that overtime feature, allowing to see some of that trending, this mirrors what we were looking at on that prior page. This next section, we only have on a couple of the pages, not necessarily on every single page, but I think it's a really cool feature, especially if you're looking across all of your plans. It'll quickly summarize the top 5 locations as far as the number of goals. So these are the locations with the most goal areas for those top 5, and then do the same thing by job group. And again, you can always hover, see what those numbers are. One thing to give you a sense of how that might look a little bit different, right? If we're looking at a location-specific view, right? Because we don't want to know what the top 5 locations are if we're only thinking about this one specific location. So if you toggle to that, we actually have a different widget for you to take a look at. And so what it will do is it will summarize the top female goal areas for that location by job group, and then the top 5 job groups for minority goal areas for that location. And pretty cool feature. Let's take a look at how this data view looks slightly different. See here, and again, we're on the view overall. If this feels like too much information for what you would want to be using for your purpose, and you wanted to focus in on just the female and male areas or just the race ethnicity subgroups, right? You could always toggle to those other pages. But again, viewing location, and you have the option, right, to dive a little bit deeper, breaking down those number of goal areas by job group. And again, have the option to open up that trend line for that specific location or overall. One thing that again, minor thing, but I think is pretty cool, maybe if you're looking up here and you say, okay, I want to see MN 510, we have the search feature here, just put that in, and you can easily locate that location and then do the same thing and dive into it, as opposed to you know, sifting through several pages if you have a lot of affirmative action plans. Go back to the all view, and then of course it has the year-on-year change. So again, just layering in, showing you how your counts of job groups, your total goal areas, and then the breakdown by the individual categories, how that looks in comparison to the year prior. And another feature I didn't show you on the other page, but you could also quickly within just this widget toggle to a prior year if you were interested there, or as I showed you at the top, you could toggle the entire dashboard to a different year, but this just gives you the ability to do it quickly within that widget. And then an alternate to summarizing everything by gender or race ethnicity subgroup, you also have the ability to take a look at the goal areas broken down by whether or not it's a new goal, a recurring goal, and then also taking a look at the eliminated goals out of the total prior year goals. So just providing extra information to that overview section at the top. So of course, we've got this map view. So circles are going to be based upon goal areas, obviously, but if you click on that again, more information here, breaking it down by new, recurring, eliminated, as well as some counts there. And then for job pattern view, just to give you a sense, again, clicking on that, taking a look at your goal areas, you can kind of see this broken out by race, ethnicity, subgroup, and then counts, percentage out of that total number, and then that change in comparison to the prior year. So a ton of options to break down this information or summarize it in different ways. All right. Take a quick look at goal attainment. Should feel pretty similar. And again, I'll go to the overall page, but you do have the ability to hone in on gender or race ethnicity. But for goal attainment, obviously, we're focused in on prior year goals and then what that outcome was. Attained, not attained, limited opportunity, no opportunity. And again, options to trend over time, pretty similar to what we already looked at. Another top 5 section, but that follows in line with what we were seeing for the goals section as well. And again, pretty similar, right? Data view, breaking it down by location, allowing you to focus in on job groups. But obviously here, again, we're staying pretty focused on those categories of summarizing by attained, not attained, limited ops, and no opportunity. So it gives you that ability to pull out and trend and visualize there. And then map view, job pattern view, all pretty similar to what we've been seeing on the other pages with the visual and then those summary charts. So it follows a pretty similar flow. Take a look at the adverse impact. So the adverse impact section will give you lots of different viewpoints. So you can see here, you can view results by job group or job title. And then once you click on that, you also have options to look at everything overall, meaning, okay, overall number of job groups that are flagging or the shortfalls based upon them, right, across applicants, promotions, termination analyses. Or if you wanted to hone in on a specific group, you could click on just the applicants, just the promotions, just the terms, depending upon the view that you need. And then once you click on overall, it'll take you to kind of that summary page. Job title, if I just show you real quick, if you click on that, it's going to give you those exact same options, and the pages really follow the same format and include the same widgets here. We'll stay focused on this job group page, but just know that the job title page is going to give you the same sense. And again, I'll stay on the overall page. First category, really, it's going to look like what we saw on that main page view, which breaking down flag counts and percentages, and then shortfalls combined across all of the groups that are flagging. Then we have this adverse impact section, which is pretty cool. And you can see there's a couple of different sections here. You can look at the counts summarized by activity, meaning looking at it broken out by applicants, promotions, and the various termination analyses. And you can see here, this is the race ethnicity summary for flags. Here is the gender summary for flags. If you want to quickly toggle that to be shortfall, just use that quick view and change what it is you're looking for, and the heading will update accordingly to keep you honest. Down here, we've got another summary of activity by flags, but of course, if we want to summarize that view by shortfall, we have that as well, and that obviously combines race, ethnicity, as well as gender. So that's all focused on that summary by activity. But if you want to focus in on looking at just gender flags, or just male-female flags, or just those shortfalls based upon male-female flags, you would just toggle to that gender view, and you get very similar information, right? Current year flags, or you could easily toggle to shortfalls by female or male, and then overtime flags, or easily toggle to overtime shortfalls, right? So a couple of different view and trending options here. And then we have widgets specifically for, okay, let's focus in on those areas that are flagging for males. How does that break down? Where are we seeing the most number of flags? So we're seeing it for applicants, and surprisingly for females, see that same breakdown here. Interesting, right? It could be interesting for you to see the differences in where the flags are occurring, or toggle that quickly to shortfall. So lots of different views there. And then same idea, right? Race, ethnicity, but obviously widgets will look a little bit different to account for the multiple race, ethnicity categories there. And I particularly like this overtime trend. But again, if you didn't want that total minority kind of trend line there, you could easily remove that from reference point, add that in, remove whites if you wanted to. Lots of different options with that there. And then obviously this is flags, but you could easily change that to shortfall. So I think you guys get the idea. And then here we've got the top 5 section, but for adverse impact. So this is focusing in on the top 5 locations here for flags, but as I'm sure you already guessed, you can toggle that to shortfall too and adjust that accordingly. And then same thing, your top 5 job groups across all locations, since we're on the all location view, as far as flags are concerned, or you can toggle that to shortfalls. And I know I've just probably got a few more minutes before I pass it over to Fred to provide some extra information. I think you've gotten a good sense, but I want to show you just a couple more things here. Data view going to be pretty similar options: location, job group, to year-on-year change, focus in on type of activity, right? Apps, promotions, terms, or you could focus in on impacted group, male, female, race, ethnicity, right? So lots of different options. Same ability to drill down or to show it some trend lines there. And of course, we've got the map view. You can always click on a location and again, just give you some additional information. Here we're focused in on describing it by activity and counts right here, but you could also flip that to subgroups, focus in there. And then I'll click on a job pattern really quick and can kind of see that broken out for a particular admin category. So this would be any flags for any job group that falls within that admin support category. Just showing you some of those different views there. And you can see, obviously, these look a little bit different, but there is no results for those particular EEO categories. So we'll always kind of gray out or light blue out, I guess, areas if there are no indicators or if there are areas that just don't exist, right? You may not have employees within those categories. So either way, we will call that out for you. Veteran section, we've got 2-page options, and disability will look pretty similar. Focus in on all hires or just those hires and applicants that actually responded to the self-ID question with a kind of a yes or no response. If we take a quick look at that, a lot of it is descriptive information, summarization of the hiring rate here. But I thought this was kind of neat that for outreach and recruitment, you see a couple of different breakouts of locations meeting the benchmark, taking a look at applicants of all applicants, what percent or what piece of those are identifying as a veteran. Same thing, veterans hired out of veteran applicants. So if we focus on just the veteran applicant population, right, what percentage of them are hired? And then veterans hired out of all applicants, right? Taking a look at that as well. And we'll see this, I think this is a pretty cool section as well, the self-ID analysis. And you'll see that on the disability section, taking a look at hires, applicants, and then workforce, and summarizing your hires, applicants, or workforce by the count or percentages of folks that said yes, no, declined, or did not respond essentially to your self-ID request. So if I flip to the disability section, you'll see kind of similar sections, right? That overview, summary, a focus on outreach and recruitment, that same self-ID analysis, give you a sense of how folks are self-identifying and whether or not they're responding. And then we've also got some top 5 sections too here. So here we're summarizing percent of underutilized job groups and locations here. And then we've got the utilization rate and job group. But again, you can always, there's always some options to modify these as well. You'll have that data view section and that map view section. But again, those all follow pretty close to what you've already seen. So I know we went through that very, very quickly, but hopefully that gives you a sense of all the different trending and summarization that you would have access to through the DCI dashboard. Fred, I know you're interested in talking about some admin features and other things, so I will pass it to you, but if there's anything you want me to click on for visual purposes, just let me know.
Sure, thanks, Amanda. And yeah, if you want to go up to the profile button there at the top and click on the admin panel, we'll just kind of peek at that for a minute while I briefly run through some highlights of some things kind of from the administrative side of the application. As Joanna mentioned, I lead the software development team here at DCI. We've been working on this application for almost a year now. Have created it, and we continue to develop it and maintain it. And when we started, we were really given 2 charges to accomplish tasks with this application. The first was that we wanted to provide our clients a way to look at the same AAP results that they're used to looking at, but in a different way. So not coming up necessarily with new analyses or new data even, but just a different way of looking at the same information. And that's where the data visualizations come in and some of the other functionality that we've got, just a slightly different angle of looking at the same information that's in there. I know in my case, I've been working with AAP reports for more than 2 decades now, either as an end user or a developer. And they're fine. There's all kinds of useful information in those, but they tend to be a little tabular and boring, if we're being perfectly blunt about it. So this application was designed to kind of spice them up a little bit, but also give you as the client a way to look at the same information, but in a more appealing way and a more interesting way, and particularly in a more interactive way. And so as Amanda highlighted in going through the different pages, one of the things that I encourage you to use as clients is just kind of mouse around and poke around at stuff in there, because this is a good opportunity to take the information and kind of bring it to life and really interact with it, rather than just kind of reading a set of tables or static pages that we're all kind of familiar with in terms of AAP results. The second charge that we were given was to provide an easier way for our clients to look at information over time. So instead of looking at, here's a set of results I got from last year's AAPs, and here's a set of results I got from this year's AAPs, and I'll have another set of results for next year's AAPs, but you have to do a lot of the extra work in between to pick up patterns across years and see if there are trends that are emerging, because you're always looking at things at a snapshot at a time. So that this application is designed to carry over from year to year and tie pieces together so that you can get an idea of trending, get an idea of things that happen over time, look at, for lack of a better way of putting it, performance of different parts of your affirmative action program over time, and help identify some things that might help with implementation and fine tuning of the affirmative action program within your organization. So I hope that as you begin to consume this application, that you'll find that we achieved our goal of meeting those two purposes with the application. A couple of things that I'll talk about just briefly. In terms of the general process and the way that things will work, once you sign up and get registered with DCI to have access to this application, on our side, we'll set up the application, and we'll set up a subdomain for you in your organization. So if you see at the top of the browser bar on Amanda's screen where it says demo.dcidashboards.com, your company will be companyx.dcidashboards.com. So when you go to a login page, you'll log in there, and all of the user setup and user access and control for who gets to log into and view this information is all within your control on the client side. So this part that we're looking at here is what we call our admin portal. And this is for you as a client user. When you get registered and we set up your site, the main point of contact at your organization, the person that typically works with us in the AAP project process, they'll get an email with some information to set up an account at their site. And so you'll log in and set up. You'll be set up initially as what we call a client admin user, which means not only do you have access to the application, but you'll have full access to setting up, inviting other users. And once those other users within your organization sign up and create accounts for themselves under your organization's site, you'll be able to assign access to them. So right now, you'll be able to assign access by location. So you can say, Jane Doe, I need to give access to these 5 locations. I can go in and set that up. You can also set up so that people have access to all the locations in your organization the same way. Some additional functionality that we'll be rolling out this summer, you'll also be able to create what we call an access group level of access, so that if you wanted Jane Doe to be able to log in and see not just 5 individual locations, but also the aggregate results across all 5 of those locations, you'll be able to set up an access group that will aggregate those results, and then you'll be able to view those at the aggregate level, which is kind of a sub-level between an individual location and the entire organization, or all AAP establishments that are in the application. So you control all of that from this admin portal. And so the main page that we're looking at kind of gives a nice summary of what's in there. You can see who you've invited in your organization, who's accepted, so who's taken the invitation, signed up, and created an account. And then you can also see some information about the access groups that you've created. But you can also do the administration of users from here. And so that can be inviting users, changing their access levels, deactivating an account. Somebody leaves your organization, you can revoke their user access within this admin portal. The other thing that you can do is, in inviting other users, you can invite other admin users. So if you don't want to be the only one in your organization administering all of this, you can invite another user, and when they create an account, you can designate them or deputize them as another admin user, and then they can do all of these things also for all the user access on the admin portal. But all of this is under your control. So ultimately, you as the client control who has access to your information, and you get to see who's accessing information and at what levels, because you've set all of that up. Just a couple of other things about how we set that up in terms of access. We use multi-factor authentication for all the sign-ins. So every time that you go to log in to companyx.dcidashboards.com with your user account information, you'll get a second factor to authenticate that it's you. So you'll get an email with a code that you'll have to put in the code to be able to get in. So one, again, restricting access or controlling access to who gets into to see the application, and then your access controls that you've set up here determine, once you're in, what you get to see within your organization. So the other part in terms of kind of the back-end security, and there's all kinds of details we can give you on this. We're not going to do it today because it's not nearly as exciting as what we've already talked about. But when we create this this subdomain for you, your organization's information sits in its own, think of it as its own server. So it's not with any other company's information, it's not mixed with anything else, not mixed with our information. So you get your own server, and we don't actually store any PII as it relates to, for example, the data that you send to DCI to do all this, to create the AAPs every year, where you've got employee level detailed information and things like that. That's not residing in this application. This is just going to have summary results. So there's no personally identifiable information for any of your employees within here. The only information that you're putting in here is for the users that log in. You'll have your email address and things like that, but that's stored separately. So we've taken every step according to up-to-date current security standards in the industry to house all this information and make it available to you through a web application so that you have easy access to it, but that it's also secure. So your information isn't just floating out there for anybody on the internet to get to. The last thing I'll say really quickly, I alluded to, we'll be rolling out some more functionality later this summer around the access groups. The nice thing about deploying these applications through the cloud like this for you as the end user is we're going to keep working on it. We spent the last year working on it, and it's being delivered. We're excited that it's delivered and available right now to all of our clients, but it's not done in the sense that we keep working on it. So we have additional functionality to add to it. So we'll be deploying that a couple of features, the access level aggregate results functionality. We're also working on some functionality to create kind of an executive summary page from all these results that Amanda was looking at. So you can look at kind of a prioritized list of what are the top areas across all of these results that I should be focused on based on what they are. So we're going to roll out things like that over time starting this summer. But the nice thing for you as the end user is you don't have to do anything. All you do is log in just like you normally would, and stuff will just suddenly be there. So we'll be announcing it as it goes out, but it makes it nice and easy to push out new functionality and new features to you without causing any disruption on your end. Nothing changes in terms of the way that you're interacting with the application. The other thing I'll throw in along those lines, we will be, since this is the first time we're rolling this out, we will be working the first time later this year, but really on kind of an ongoing basis to get feedback and input and ideas and suggestions from you as the clients. So the idea is we've put all this together and we're rolling it out in the first phase, but over time, as different people are using this, you may go through this and see something and think, well, I'd kind of like to see such and such. Would be kind of helpful to have in there. So we're going to start gathering that information from you on a regular basis later this year. And I would encourage you, as you're using it, to provide that feedback to us and any suggestions that you have or things you'd like to see in there, things that you think would be helpful. And I can't promise that every idea will be implemented eventually, but every idea will be reviewed and considered by my team. So we'd love to hear from you in terms of how you like it, what kind of things you'd like to see, if there are new things you'd like to see, and things like that over time. And so with that, I'll pass it back to Amanda and Joanna to close up for our presentation today.
Great. Thank you, Fred. Thank you, Amanda. That was a fantastic overview. We're so excited about all the new features and the rolling features and the opportunity to make this a more strategic process for our clients in terms of oversight. So you might be interested in this product. We would love it if you pursued looking into this product. If you're interested in adding this to your service package, there is a link that you're going to see in the chat box. You can submit a form saying, yes, I'm interested, my company's interested, tell me more. Also, that button is in the initial email that was sent on this. So it's just a quick form to let us know that you're interested in adding this to your service, and we will follow up with with you accordingly and your organization accordingly. But we're looking forward to this rollout. Thanks to Fred and Amanda for taking so much time to show us this demo. And thank you all for the feedback through the years to get us to this space of even rolling out the first version of this product. And it will just go up from here. So thank you for your time. Take care. Bye.
Thanks, everybody.